on now. We adjust. How you doing? How y'all doing, queens? Yes! You know I had to play this song for a specific reason, right? Yes. Wrong way, right? You know, I had to do my episode of Pose, the recap. Okay, what's up? You had to play Love as a Message. Because it's basically... Okay, let me pause this for a second. Okay. Let's get serious. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another recap of another exciting episode of Pose. This is episode 6. Oh, bitch. Hold on now. You know, I'm keeping this unfiltered. I'm not going to be doing no edits. I ain't doing none of that shit. I was like, you gotta be careful. Don't be pressing no buttons and things. Well, just in case, let me put this on mute in case I hit the wrong button by accident. But of course, then I had to play Love as a Message. The song is a classic. Way back in the day. And things. My mother used to always play that song when I was a kid. The episode, of course, is called Love is the Message. Co-written by Ryan Murphy and Janet Mock. And directed by Janet Mock. So congratulations to her for actually, this was her directorial debut. I love this episode. I thought this was the best, by far the best episode yet that I've seen of Pose. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the episode. I just felt like the episode was just very heavy. It was sad. There were moments I was going to shed a tear, but I've been going through a lot of emotional shit for the past couple of weeks. But yeah, this episode was really like the tears was almost coming. It was just a lot, especially dealing with how the AIDS crisis, or as I call the AIDS Holocaust, was back in the 80s and what a lot of people were going through. And so let me just start out from the beginning before I start jumping off into other stuff, as in like jumping too far ahead. So one of the things I found interesting, because I'm going to keep looking over because I had my notes. I had to remember it was a lot. The episode was over an hour long. So, you know, I had to take notes and keep it all in. So Angel and Stan's wife, picking up where last week's episode left off, where Stan's wife, Patty, started doing some investigating because James asshole Derbeek decided to stick his nose where it didn't belong. And that was in Stan's personal business because Stan started moving up the corporate ladder very quickly and he wasn't liking that. He feels like, you know what, because of my white privilege, I can take. I was born of a certain ilk. I was born in a certain type of world. So therefore, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. This is how a lot of them motherfuckers think, unfortunately. I mean, we see how it is in the White House currently. But we ain't going to talk about them idiots. We're going to keep it on with what we're talking about here now. Okay, so Stan's wife Patty having the conversation with Angel in the diner. I felt like that was something that was long overdue. We all knew it was going to come eventually, just didn't know in which form. Angel's nonchalant attitude about it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I can understand what it was. She was being defensive in regards of, you know, in that time would come that the other woman would come at her and question, well, why is my husband with you? Why are you sleeping with my man? What are y'all doing? What is your ulterior motives? Those sort of things. But then Angel also said something that made sense, which is like, okay, well, if you were taking care of home, he wouldn't be coming over in my neck of the woods. He wouldn't be doing the things that he does. So a lot of times when it comes to marriages, people need to really sit back and think when a man cheats. Because I know a lot of people when I've had these conversations with people, they're like, well, my man never left me, I'll leave him. Easier said than done. A lot of people think it's always that simple, and I don't really think it is. I think a lot of times you never know. I don't think most people know what they would do in those situations if you have never been in that situation. To me personally, I'll say I can't see myself dumping a significant other if they were to cheat and vice versa. I would really want to sit and have that conversation and be like, so what got us to this point? Why did you feel the need to step out and sleep with another person? So, and what can we do to make this situation better than what it was? So I would basically come at it from that standpoint. We can have that open dialogue. We can have that open communication. Because I always think, like, when it comes to relationship, communication is key. I've always said that people need to just communicate and be open and all other stuff, and then you won't have these problems. So, seeing that those two had that conversation, and then the fact that Patty had no idea that Angel was transsexual, I thought was the ultimate gag. So, I liked how they both had that dynamic, and she basically told her, was like, yeah. But then overall, immediately they jumped to the whole thing of, well, I need you to prove that you're a transsexual. I want to see your dick. And it's sort of like people tend to always, I think when it comes to being transsexual, people always equate the genitalia as the identification of who someone is. We deal with that in being a man or being whatever. People hold men to a high regard thinking because we are what's between our legs. And men are much more than that. Just like trans people are beyond that. They transcend beyond what gender identity is. And people don't identify who they are by their genitalia. And people shouldn't be identified that way. But unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And until we continue to have these conversations and spread this message, things aren't going to change. So, the question that was brought up during their interaction was, can you love two people at the same time? In my personal opinion, I think you can love more than one person. I don't really think that as human beings, and you may disagree, you may agree, and that's okay. I welcome people who thoroughly disagree or have different opinions, as long as it's respectable. I truly believe that we are not put on this earth to only love one person. I truly believe that you can be in relationships with other people, and other people can present different needs that you need. So if you're with someone who provides this sort of need, and I'd look at it as with friendships too. And so like, if you're with someone who's in a relationship and they're not into the same things that I'm into, like video games or whatever the case is, but I found someone who's into that, then I'm going to hang out with this person. And because they give me that, they fulfill that need. I feel like it's the same approach with relationships, where if you're with someone who is not going to provide a certain need, you should be able to go to someone else to provide that need for you. Everybody's not going to be into everything. Everybody's not going to satisfy every need that you have, and that's okay. But people feel, I think, when they get in relationships, that one person is one's property. Now, what was messed up on Stan's part is that he jumped into a marriage under preconceived notions, well, or ulterior motives, whatever the case was, is that he was trying to perpetuate a certain image that has been bestowed upon him from being a white male in society, that in the 80s, and it still exists today, that people feel that you have to perpetuate a certain world, or you have to perpetuate a certain image in order to fit into society's mold of what you are supposed to be. And the same thing with Patty. Patty needs to figure out who she is as a woman. She is put her entire self, her life, her everything into this marriage and being Mrs. Stan's wife, rather than trying to figure out, who is she? Why aren't you, okay, you can be in a marriage with someone, but you should also be out there trying to do your own thing. You should be able to have a job. You can also take care of your kids. You should also be able to go out with your friends and do whatever. I don't understand why people think that once you get into marriage, you have to give up your friends. You got to stop being in a relationship. I mean, you got to stop being in other relationships with other people. Not sexual, but I'm just saying, like, you have to stop the life that you had when you were just a solo person. Once you get married, it's like once you get married, you get rid of your everything. You can't be hanging out with your friends. You can't be going out to eat with your friends. You can't be doing this. And I feel like you should be able to do a lot of those things. The only difference is, like, yeah, you have a marriage, you have a husband or a wife, and you have kids. And yes, you can have that life as well, but why can't you find that balance? So I think people always try to change who they are once they get into a marriage or get into these long-term relationships. And you should be able to just figure it out and figure out how you can become equal partners. Okay, so the Butch Queen body category that some of those children walked, child, this was like my favorite. Because, you know, I live for all the other ones. I live for all the other categories. But seeing all those fine-ass men up in there, including the one and only Laith Ashley. Can we just give it up for the cameos? There were many cameos in this episode. Sandra Bernhard playing the nurse in the hospital that was taking care of Costas, who was Pray Tell's boyfriend. Seeing her up in there, because I live for Sandra Bernhard. I love her. I've been following her career for a gazillion years. Without You, I'm Nothing. Seeing that, you know, the performance that she did of that, and I haven't seen like live or whatever. I know there's video and stuff out there of her doing that. So I remember meeting Sandra Bernhard once walking in the West Village. And we kind of just, I didn't say hello, but I looked at her. She noticed I recognized her. And we just gave like the silent nod, like hello and all that stuff, and kept it moving. And that's kind of like how I like seeing when I see celebrities in New York. It's not always, oh my God, can I have your autograph? Can I take a picture? Like, I don't like doing that stuff. I learned that when I was working, working in the entertainment industry. And my last job where I was doing a lot of concierge and doing a lot of movie events and all other stuff and seeing a lot of celebrities where they would come in and stuff it's like, I don't need to take pictures and get autographs to prove that I met someone. Just being there and being like, you know what, I met this person, they're cool, they're not cool, whatever the case is. That to me is more fulfilling than being like, I need to have a trophy or to let you know that I met a famous person. See famous people all the time in New York, and they like it here because they're not necessarily bothered. But the Butch Queen Body Contest, and that was us seeing the first time seeing, Jesus, tongue-tied, Pray Tell in rare form, where he wasn't on top of, being the MC. He was a drunken mess. He was playing Love Is the Message on repeat. Yeah, he had this song on. It was just constantly on a loop, driving the girls crazy. Everybody was losing their damn mind. Like, bitch, would you pick a new goddamn song? So there was that whole situation. And, him being a mess, and then the House of Evangelista clocking it and feeling that, you know what, we need to have an intervention and basically have him come over to the house and help him and see what's going on and try to be a listening ear and help him get past whatever he's going through. But clearly we all know, because we've been watching the show, that he was scared because Costas was in the hospital and he was losing his battle with AIDS. And so going through those points, and then on top of that, dealing with his own personal diagnosis where he's only told Blanca. He hasn't told any of the other people in the House of Evangelista. He hasn't told anybody. The only person that he's confided his status to is Blanca. So dealing with that on top of his partner dying in the hospital and feeling helpless, it takes a toll on someone. So a lot of people, unfortunately, resort to drugs to cope. I know a lot of people who have done that and who are doing that in other aspects, not just because of HIV and AIDS, but just when tragedy or something tragic is happening in your life, sometimes the only way people know how to cope is through drugs. Okay, so Blanca meeting her new boo, Darius, the LL Cool J reject, because he was giving me full-on LL Cool J tees back in the 80s. Kango hat, chain around the neck, white beater, sweatpants, like the whole shebang. That was the whole LL Cool J drag look back in those days. I remember I've seen footage, I've seen videos. I was like, what? An infant, basically, when during the era of Pose. So I've seen videos and stuff back in the day of how people dress it in those days. So I know like the whole Kango and everything. So, seeing him, and then it was like, the first time I saw him, I was like, that boy's a player. He ain't up to no good. And seeing Lil Poppy jump in and try to defend his house mother was cute. And definitely like, him playing like the man of the house in a way. I already talked about, so then Stan's wife going to the hospital and speaking to the family doctor about an HIV test after she found out who and what Angel is, that Angel's transgender. That kind of bothered me because I was like, I already know that here this bitch gonna go automatically thinking because anybody part of the LGBT persuasion, they got the AIDS, they got this, they got that. But you want to know, this is the attitude of a lot of people. People in those days, and still kind of in a way, even though we've come a long way with different medicines and more people have been educated, there's still a lot of people who aren't educated. There's still people who will not have sex with someone who's HIV positive because they feel that they can spread the disease to them when they don't know about undetectable people cannot give you the virus if you have unprotected sex. There's things called PrEP now. There are things where you can learn about, undetectable viral loads. Like, all that didn't exist in those days. So, having that sense of ignorance and not being aware of it, it's normal to believe that, I mean, to know it, but when you know what you know now based on what you didn't know then, it kind of stings to see that was the attitude. And some people, like I said, still have that attitude. So hearing her do that, and then, of course, the doctor being like, well, equating it with being a gay disease. Oh, well, you're a healthy heterosexual woman, so you wouldn't have something like that. Not knowing that AIDS doesn't discriminate. It doesn't. Or HIV. I already talked about Sandra Bernhard as the nurse. I lived for her in that scene. Like, I just love Sandra Bernhard. Pray Tell having this intervention at the house of Evangelista and that monologue, I just want to say this about that monologue. If Billy Porter does not get a for your consideration, if they don't take that scene that he did where he basically read them the house down and was going through his grief and his pain and all this stuff, you clearly saw that he was hurting, but he was crying out for help at the same time, and cussed them all out from A to Z. Was like, until you gone a mile of my shoes and you dealt with what I do, mind your fucking business. Like, when he was giving that full-on monologue where all that emotion was coming through, if Ryan Murphy and his people do not submit that shit to the Emmy Academy, the Emmy board, whatever they're called, and are like, don't consider Billy Porter for an Emmy, I'm gonna find y'all and fuck y'all up. Like, this man, in my opinion, I feel like, as someone who has followed Billy Porter's career since, like, the first time I saw him, he was in a movie called The Broken Hearts Club, which was the early 2000s version of The Boys in the Band. Had everybody in it. Fine-ass Andrew Keegan. Dean Cain was in it. What's his name? Timothy Olyphant, who you know was from Justified. So they had a lot of A-list. Zach Braff was in it too. So they had a lot of big Hollywood people in this film. So if y'all have not seen that film, definitely check it out. That was the first time I seen Billy Porter on the screen. Then I remember he, at one point, like, he was in theater. He was dating the openly gay singer Ari Gold. Yeah, I remember that too. He's happily married now. Also, of course, everybody knows him from Kinky Boots. I'm upset that I never got to see him in that performance. But Billy Porter, I've been following his career since forever. And this man has been working at this for over 20 years. And finally, he's getting his due. And I feel like Pray Tell was the role he was born to play. And if he doesn't get an Emmy for his role on the show Pose, I'm going to call that shit full-on blasphemy. Like, there's no justice in the world. Billy Porter deserves every goddamn Emmy he will be nominated for. What else? The conversation where he was talking about, where Pray Tell was talking about that feeling of free love without having to worry about getting AIDS or getting sick and all this stuff. Like, I could totally get where he was coming from with that, because, like, in the early 80s, you didn't have to worry about that. Then started, like, what? Like, in 83, 84, that's when I think the AIDS Holocaust started up and people started getting sick, and there was so many movies and stuff that's been done on it. But seeing that is just, I just have to say that was just, I would never know what that's like. I don't think any of us would know what that's like. I mean, I think now we can get maybe a little sense of having sex unprotected without the fear of catching HIV, because we have stuff called Truvada, PrEP, whatever you want to call it. There are a lot of men who are having unprotected sex now because of PrEP. Yeah, the side effects are you get your kidneys all fucked up and this, that, and the other, but that's a price that people are willing to pay because they want to have that freedom of getting flooded, or as they call it, or not having sex without protection. It's like that connection. So people are living for it. People are having unprotected sex all the time now. But I mean, yeah, you got to worry about chlamydia and syphilis and gonorrhea and all those other things. But with chlamydia and these type of STIs, all you got to do is go to the doctor, get a shot in your ass, and you're good. Take a pill, you're good. Don't have sex for a week, and you're fine. So this is the attitude that people have now. And this is the price people are willing to pay, because they want to feel that sense of what was it like in those days before this AIDS crisis came down and started just killing so many people. And I kind of wish we would have had the older generation still around. I mean, there's a few of my friends that I know who are in their, late 40s and 50s and above, and I like being around a lot of the older gay men and trans women and stuff, because I get to learn so much. I get to sit and listen to their stories and take it all in. That's why I love a show like Pose, because all the stories that I've been hearing over the years from people, it's kind of like the stories that people are starting to see now on this show. So I like the fact that people are finally getting their just due with that. Okay, so the girls fighting over Laith Ashley, child, when he was walking that category in them little short shorts, I was like, we need to see more of Laith Ashley's fine Latino ass up in some more movies, and more projects, not just Pose. I really feel like I really hope that this show opens doors for more shows featuring queer people of color to be shown on television, in the movies, on streaming sites, wherever the case is. The world is our oyster right now. Like, we have to get the wherewithal and just make this shit happen. Like, I feel like I'm ready. Look, I'm a writer, I'm an artist. I'm gonna start writing some shit and getting some people together and putting something together, because I feel like it's a long time coming. Like, we are underrepresented in regards of being seen on television, and I feel like queer people of color, really, we need our stories told. And I like the fact that we have, you know, the bisexual series coming from Issa Rae coming soon. You know, she does Insecure. So yeah, hopefully we'll get more. I kind of miss Patrick Ian Polk. Like, why isn't he making stuff? Last thing, I mean, I love The Skinny. I like Noah's Ark. I like all those. I would like to see him come back. I know he was doing Being Mary Jane, but honey, I'm sure you got some coinage you can get scraped together and put a show together. But anyway, back to the story. The AIDS cabaret night for the patients. That was like a true heartfelt moment for me, because watching Pray Tell singing For All We Know by Donny Hathaway, and then also we had Blanca coming in singing Home after she done stood up the boyfriend, because when she went to go buy her outfit, which looked like she was at Patricia Fields, where they had Jiggly Caliente from RuPaul's Drag Race as the girl at the counter, and then and the T-girls basically telling her that what that was named, Darius, is a tranny chaser. When she found that out, that kind of just hurt her, because Blanca was like, I want to be wine and dine. I want a boyfriend. I want a man who's going to love me. I don't want no man that's just going to run up in these guts or me run up in his guts and just, you know, a hit it and quit it type of situation. There's nothing, you know, there's girls out here that's like, you know what, I know the game. It is what it is. As long as I get my rocks off, I give me some of that good dick. He hit the spot. Then that's all good and everything. But some people don't want that. Some people want to be wine and dine. Some people want to be loved. Some people want to be in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with that either. Just got to know what you want and hold on to them standards. Because a lot of people will settle just so they can have like a warm piece of ass up against them at night. Stan's wife, Patty, and that scene where she ambushed the husband and trapped him and got him to come to the doctor's office, and basically it was sort of an intervention for him and the therapy, and she basically was like, I know everything, I know you've been cheating, I know you've been sleeping with a girl who's transgender, and he couldn't even lie at that point, and then basically still not knowing why he does what he does, and him basically trying to figure out, am I part of the LGBTQ community? Is he the Q part? Is he questioning his sexuality because he's interested in a trans woman? What's his true feeling about it? Is he just a guy that likes girls with a little something extra? Or could he possibly be a part of the, you know, the queer persuasion? So I guess next week when I saw the clip of him basically, well, oh wait, let me not jump ahead. Let me just continue on, because I'm like, people are just like, oh, I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm gonna just keep it going. People getting, oh wait, what was I gonna say? Yeah, also the thing of people getting in relationships and not knowing who they are. People really need to take a moment and figure out who they are in their relationships, why they get in relationships with people they get in with, and not just be like, you know what, because it looks good on the outside. And people tend to settle a lot too, and it's unfortunate, but people, yeah, you gotta stop settling for your relationships. Costa's having the talk with Pray Tell about, you know what, if I die, I want you to live on. I want you to live your life. I want you to celebrate. I want you to love. I want you to find somebody new. And then Pray Tell breaking down in the bed and crying. That was another heartfelt moment. And then hours later, Pray Tell getting the call at home, finding out that Costas died. That was truly another heartbreaking moment as well. And it was just like that. The scene between those two was just amazing. Stan fighting with James Van Der Beek at the office. I already told you about how I felt about him, that he's come from that era of like the Trumps, because he works at Trump Tower anyway, so it's kind of obvious why he would have that kind of energy. Where I come from a certain thing of privilege. I come for what I want to come for, and I get what I want from anybody that I want. You're not going to come in and take what you're going to take from me. I take from you. That whole attitude of white privilege is just disgusting, and it's a lonely life, and it's a sad life, and that's the life he chooses to live, and that's the way he is, and it's unfortunate. It'll be interesting to find out if Stan has a job after punching his boss in the face, and then them fighting on the floor, and them having that little drag out there, and him being so nasty to about talking, basically sexually harassing, I think his secretary, I don't know if she was a secretary, just one of the women who worked as a clerk there. But Poppy snatching his first trophy, his grand prize trophy, walking Butch Queen, the Butch Queen category. That was cute. And I was looking, because I watched that scene like 3 times. I could see that boy got some dick, because I was looking at, you could see that bulge in them sweatpants. And you know, it's always the short ones you got to watch out for. But Lil Poppy definitely, he can get it with a capital I-T. The girls coming together to shade Darius. I like that scene as well. Basically with them coming around saying like, you know what, I'm like, what Blanca said, I want more than that. You ain't all that. I'm not just going to subject myself to a fuck just so, I'm not going to be a notch on your belt, basically. So I liked how she came from him. Pray Tell going through his transition in regards of the mourning process of Costas and living his life and loving and finally switching off that goddamn love as a message and putting on Diana Ross. Miss Ross, I'm coming out. He wanted the world to know. He gonna let it show. Yes, bitch. That's what he was gonna do. Let it show. Let it show. Okay. So that, what else? Do I have anything else to cover? Okay. Blanca and Pray Tell basically having that conversation. I already talked about that in regards of him saying like, you know what, I'm going to live. I'm not just going to let this AIDS thing keep me down, depress me, kill me. I'm going to fight. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to move on. I'm going to get in a relationship. I'm going to live my life for Costas. And that, I think, is the way everybody should live. Also, Angel going back to work at the Peep Show. We all knew that was going to come eventually. She was going to need some money because, you know what, her being put up in that apartment and her and Stan going through their situation. What was she going to do? She was going to have to go back to the Peep Show. And of course, I knew the minute she was going to get up in that room with the little stool and wait for the thing to rise up, I knew Stan was going to be on the other side of it. I just knew them two was going to, there was this moment that he was like, I need you. I can't stop thinking about you. I need you in my life. I want you. And then basically, as we saw, if you didn't see in the preview next week, where we get to see basically Angel taking Stan into her world, where he gets to see more women who are part of what Angel is. Basically, he gets to see more trans women, not just Angel, and seeing that whole thing and basically coming into her world and being like, okay, so is he willing to give up the wife, the kids, the white picket fence, the big high profile job, you know, down in Midtown for this girl that he can't stop thinking about? Is love more powerful than, you know, the pomp and circumstance of the career and everything in this image that you have to live? So we'll see how that all plays out. Also, we get to see Christopher Maloney again next week where, what is it? Where Elektra basically, where he finds out about her getting the whole surgery and all that other stuff and how that all works out. And then we also get to see a lot more of Lil Poppy next week. So I'm looking forward to that because we get to find out, well, Blanca finds out that he's selling drugs and that whole dynamic with them. So it would be great to finally see Lil Poppy stretch his acting chops and to reveal more about himself. And yeah, that's that sort of thing. I think I pretty much hit all the spots of this show. I'm definitely loving this show. This is such an important show. I also saw that it was trending #1 on Twitter last night. Finally, I think after we continue to keep talking about it, we keep bringing up polls, more people will continue to watch it, and we need to let our voices be heard. Like, you know what? It's a great show. You don't know what you're missing. You need to be sitting here watching this and learning about these people that you are not accustomed to and how they're just like us. They're just a little different. There's nothing wrong with being different. Everybody should be a little queer. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. I'll be back next week with another exciting recap of pose. Definitely follow me on Instagram at Chris Avalon Blog. Look me up on Facebook. My name is Chris Avalon. Chris Avalon NYC on Twitter, and a whole lot more. Love you all for watching. See you next time. Ciao, darlings.